Good morning everyone. So in this video lecture we're going to talk about global keyword, and I'm actually going to give you a few examples, right? So we're going to talk about global keyword, right? Why this keyword is used. So first of all, this keyword is used to if you want to change a global variable in local scope, okay, that is when this keyword is to be used, because a global variable should not be changed in the local scope, if you know what I mean. It's like, right, because it's global, but if you still want to change it, you can use global keyword, okay, just to tell the software that the changes that are being made, these are being made to global variable. Okay, so I'll start with a few examples. So first of all, let me give you an example here. So we have this variable x equals to 10, right? Now this is a global variable, right? It doesn't have any built-in scope, right? There is no local box like thing, so there is no local scope or enclosing scope. This is a global variable, global scope, right? Now I'm going to create a few variables in local scope. So for that I'm going to have this add1 function, okay? So x equals to 9, right? Y equals to 9, and then I'm going to print x plus y. Now this is global and this is local, okay? So as I told you, if you remember L let B rule, right, every time you are using scope variables, right, if you have, so for example here we have local variable, we also have global variable, right? So this is local, this is global. So every time we have these kind of situations, your software is always going to pick local one first, okay? So when you run this program, your software is actually, when this statement is encountered x plus y, it is first going to check values for, it's first going to check the values of x and y in the local scope. If the values are found, it's going to use them. Otherwise, if let's say this value is not here, then it's going to pick global value, okay? So it's always local, and then it's going to check in the enclosing space, then the global space, and then if there is any built-in value to that, okay? So in this case, so here we have local value, so it's going to pick 9. So 9 plus 9, 18. So now I'm going to call this function add1, okay? So 18, right? If there is no local value, it's going to pick global one. So let's say a equals to 8, okay, and I'm going to define another function add here, okay, and b equals to 9. So print a plus b, okay. Now add 17, right? So it's going to check values of check the values of a and b in the local space first. So it's going to find b's value in the local space, in local scope, and a's value is not there, so it's going to pick this global value. So we have 17, right? So now I'm going to modify this function a little so that you will actually see what happens if we try to modify value of global variable, right? So a is 8, remember a is 8, okay, and then I'm going to change local variables, right? Okay, So I'm just going to copy paste this code, right? So we have right, print a plus b. So what I want is that after this statement is executed, I'm going to change the value of a. So I want it to be 9, let's say. Okay. Right, yeah. So let me run this program now. What we expect is that when it runs, it's going to get the value of b from inside the local scope, and it's going to get the value of a from inside this, from not inside, from outside, like from global scope, and then it's going to print the result, and then it's going to change the value, right? So what is a here? When I'm writing a here, a equals to 9, we are expecting that this value should be changed, right? Because it is going to use this value only, global value. So changes we are making should be reflected in global value, right? But in actuality, what happens is when you write a equals to 9, this becomes local to add. Okay, so control goes to this statement, then control goes to this statement, okay, then control goes to this statement. Now every time you are creating local variables, so inside a function when you are using local variables, we have this rule that if you are using a variable, it should not be referenced before its actual assignment. So what I mean by that is we are assigning value to a after it is being referenced in here. So you are using a here, then you are assigning value. Okay, so let me run this. We have error and it says local variable a referenced before assignment. Okay, so what is happening here? You accessed global variable here, right? So you cannot modify it in local scope, right? So there are two ways to understand this. First of all, you are nowhere assigning the value before actually using the variable. So you're using the variable, then you're assigning the value, right? Secondly, when this statement is executed, this control goes to this statement. A is already global variable, right? And when you go a equals to 9, in a way you're trying to change the value of this global variable, and you can't do that. Okay, so I hope that this makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know, right? So two ways to understand this. All right, so what's the solution for this? So I'm again going to paste this code here. So we have b equals to 9, print a plus b. Now, as I told you, this is global value, right? So in a way you're trying to change global value, but you're not able to because it is being treated as local value, or it is also being treated as global value, but you can't change it because this is it is being used in local scope. Okay, and then you also can understand this, like it is referenced before assignment and all that, right? So what we're going to do here is, instead of writing a equals to 9, we are going to use global keyword, so global a. Okay, instead of writing it here, because we are ultimately using global keyword, so I'm going to write it here. So global a we are using, so every time a is used after this statement, a will be global variable, right? So now if I make changes here, a equals to 9 because a was 8 earlier. Earlier it was 8, yeah, right? Now here I'm going to print the value of a. Okay, so let's run this program, right? So 17 and 9. Okay, now these changes are actually being reflected in A. Okay, so if I print the value of A, it's not going to be 8, it's going to be 9, right? Initially the value of this global variable was 8. Now since we used global keyword inside this local scope, this says global, this says global, now this is global, so the value changed. Changes are actually reflected back in here. Okay, so print A's value is 9, right? And obviously this is a global variable, so you can use it in another function. So let's say I'm having this another function, so I'm trying to subtract some values. Okay, so we're going to print A minus C. It should be 4, right? Yeah, so yeah. Okay, this is how global variable is used. This is why and how global variable is used. I'm sorry, global keyword is used. Okay.